going on, guys? Justin Williams here, doing a little in-the-house dirt time today, going over gear and equipment that I'm going to be taking to Sigma 3 Survival School. Now, it's going to look like tons of equipment, but I need you to keep in mind that I'm going to be living off the land from April, May, on into June. And so it's vital that I have all the equipment that I'm going to need there. Some of these tools, you will say, well, that's not a survival tool, and you're absolutely right. Sigma 3 survival training for the instructor program is about not only survival, but self-reliance as well. And so some of the tools that you're going to see and the equipment that I have here will be geared towards increasing my ability to learn at a more efficient rate. Because yes, absolutely, I could go out into the woods with a knife only and learn to survive. And at the same rate, if I had a proper, adequate equipment, I will be able to learn more efficiently and more effectively because I won't be trying to have to stress or worry about not having adequate equipment. And so, thus the reason for so much of the gear. Something you'll notice as we go through my gear selection is you'll see redundancies. And it's important and vital that in a long-term situation such as what I'm about to endeavor, that I have redundancies. The old one is none and two is one rule is vital because I don't want to be out there up in the mountains in the middle of nowhere and have a piece of gear fail me and not be able to replace it. So a lot of the gear that I'm going to have multiple pieces that have multiple uses. And so as we look through some of these, don't feel like I'm going John Locke on Lost here with a suitcase of knives, because I feel like that's what I need to have. I'm going to have so many knives in case any of them fail me. Also, I'm going to be testing out some knives as well, so I want to be able to find the knives that work best for me on any given day. And so let's get ready to go through some of the equipment. I'm going to try to focus on it based off of the 5 C's and then a little bit of other equipment that I'm going to be using as well. I'm not going to be covering clothing. I feel like each person, they're going to use the clothing that's most adequate for them. I'm going to be using some 511 kind of spec type tactical pants that are ripstop, and that's the only reason I'm using them is because they're ripstop. I have 4 pairs of those, and then I have another pair of ripstop tactical pants from a different brand, I can't remember. And then I'm going to be trying to use some wicking shirts and some ripstop shirts. And so being out in the woods, thorns, briars, I don't want my clothing to tear down. But you know, if you talk to Josh Hamlin, man, the guy, he can tell you, you wear what's on your back. You don't have to have all that specialty clothing. Here's the key, though, that I'm going to be doing, and I picked up from my buddy Travis Henry, is to use paraffin. I believe that's the name of it, paraffin. Anyways, it's a little yellow bottle from Sawyer that's a tick repellent, and that's going to be huge. So that's pretty much adequate what I'm going to be doing in clothing, and I'm going to put it in a dry sack. But moving on from there into the 5 C's, I'm going to start off with cutting tools. And I'm going heavy on cutting tools, and I specifically chose these ones for their various tasks and reasons. I'm actually going to have a few others that I'm not showing here today, but these are the main ones I'm going with. So the knives that aren't pictured here in the video is I'm going to be bringing a Condor bush lore and possibly my Rat 5. But those will be simply backup knives. I've used those for years. I really like them. They're just going to be backup knives. These are going to be my 4 key knives, though, that I'm going to be taking. This one here is the DT Forge, and I call it the Tank. And it's one that I had personally made for this class, for this training program, is the DT Forge Tank. And I got it for that because if I needed a 1-tool option, this would be it. It's a beast. It's a chopper. It's a cutter. And you know, I just feel like if I only had one tool option, this would be it, because I need to be able to chop and do all the essential tools and techniques that I'm going to need, and I feel like it would do the task adequately. So got the tank I'm going to be taking, and also the newest knife that I've picked up, one of the newest ones anyways, is the Brothers of Bushcraft Tops Bob Fieldcraft knife. I have to say, so far, this is one of my favorite manufactured knives. As far as mass production knives, this knife right here is amazing. I love it over any of the other mass produced knives I've ever come across. Those are two. Then the next two here is by a custom knife maker named Mark Cutright, and he specially designed these. This is his Model 1 and his Model 4, and he came up with the design. He's blacksmithed them, and he's put his life into these two knives, and I'm really excited to feature his knives and his products on my YouTube channel, and also be able to show them at Sigma 3. And so here's his Model 1, and it's a beautiful knife, and he offers all the specs for it. It's a little under 5 inches, and it just feels great, fits good in your hand, and I think it'll do a lot of the light duty tasks that I'm going to need, especially for making trap triggers and such. So that is the Model 1 by Mark Cutright, and this is the Model 4. Now, I'm come prepared to use a kukri, a cold steel kukri. That was my original plan, was to have a big type machete, but since Mark hooked me up with this Model 4, I mean, that is a knife. The whole Crocodile Dundee. Well, that's not a knife. Now that's a knife. This is the knife of knives. I mean, it is huge. I don't know the exact specs on it, but it is over a foot long, and there's probably every bit of 10 to 11 inches of cutting space. And I mean, this thing is just a beast. I just can't wait to cut into some trees and stuff with that. So during Knife Only Week, I'm probably going to go with the Cutright combo, because I'll have my small task and my large task, and man, my time during Knife Only Week just got a whole lot easier. But we're not to keep this video too long, so I'm going to move on now from knives to some other cutting tools. I'm going with a hatchet. And guys, I didn't spend a lot of money on my hatchets and axes. I got what works for me in my price range. And this is just an American hickory handle with a hatchet head on it. That's going to be my hatchet. And then I'm going with a cold steel axe, the Troboss. And so I don't even know that I'll need the axe. I'm taking it anyways. I know I'll definitely use the hatchet for bow making, but these are the cutting tools I'm going to be using as far as knives and axes and hatchets. Another one is kind of a tactical axe. I'm not necessarily going to use it, but I'm taking it just in case I need a backup, and because I'm all about redundancies. And I'm trying to remember who makes this one. It's the Spec Plus by Ontario, made in America. Kind of a tactical military style hatchet. And so those are some of the cutting tools. Another one is the saws I'm going to be taking. I'm going to be using the Corona saw. I looked heavily at the Silky. It just wasn't in my budget right now. So the Corona saw. And then I'm also going to be using the good old Bahco. And so these are the tools, cutting tools, that I'm going to be using. A couple other tools that I plan on taking that aren't necessarily essential, but I think they're going to help in the learning curve, and also just having them for my own purpose and my own use. And that is going with a Gerber multi-tool. And I know a lot of people think Gerber has gone downhill since back in the day, but this one here has been adequate and has held up nicely. So I'm going to have a Gerber multi-tool, and then I'm also going with my own draw knife. And I believe they provide some of them there at Sigma 3, and I'll also have a tape measure. Those will be some tools I'm going to take, and that is simply during the bow making course. I don't want to have to be reliant upon other people's tools or to have to wait for certain tools. I want to be able to have my own. So I have a draw knife and a tape measure for the bow only. So those are some of the tools that I'm going to be using. Some of the other items, moving on from cutting tools, will be containers. And containers are essential because they're hard to reproduce in a survival situation. I know while I'm there, we're going to do ember burned bowls and probably some basketry, but during everyday tasks I need adequate cooking equipment. So I'm actually going with the Ozark, gotta love that, going with the Ozark Trail bush pot system, and it all nests within itself. And I got the spork combo and a can opener to go with it, but it's just two pots that fit within each other and makes a great kit setup. So my container system once again consists of the Ozark Trail bush pot, and all of them fit. The nesting cups sold separate, but they all fit within inside of one another for compactability, and so they go within the mesh bag. And that is the Ozark Trail bush pot kit. I'm going to be using a Clean Canteen water bottle so I can effectively boil water. I've got just a standard old-fashioned military style mess kit for eating. And then this is my redundancy, my backup kit. Will consist of the Pathfinder Cook Kit. This is a backup system for me for if I have any failure issues. And so that makes up my container and cooking system. While we're on that, I'm also going to be using the Sawyer Mini to help purify and manage my water. This here is just a bag of miscellaneous cook tools that I've either made or collected. So, alright, so moving on from containers, we're going to move to cordage. And I'm going to be bringing three types of cordage. Paracord, it's pricey. I'm probably going to buy another roll of it, but that's going to be there for if a necessity, if I have to have it, a necessity. But my primary cordage, I'm going to be using Bankline because it's cheap, and I don't remember the numbers. One of them's like a 36 and one of them's an 18, I think, but I can't remember the numbers. This is the thinner stuff. It's going to be used for fishing and daily tasks. This here, though, is the Tarred Mariner's Bankline, and I think it's just as effective as the paracord. I will use this primarily for most of my tasks, and I'm going to buy another big roll of it as well. So that covers cutting tools, cordage, and containers. Next is a candling device, and I've got two different headlamps, and I've also got a little lantern I'm going to take. But the key with headlamps is go ahead and get one that has the most lumens that you can afford. And so I got a basic, inexpensive one for backup, and it's got two settings on it. But then I got this one here. It's just an Energizer brand. I don't remember how many lumens it is, but this sucker has a huge bright red and even brighter. I mean, this sucker is like I don't know, it's just bright. It reminds me of an old spotlight because it's so bright. And so those are the candling devices I'm going to be taking. Next, I'm going to move on to cargo and the things I'm going to be using to haul my equipment. So I'm going to be bringing quite a bit of different options for cargo, And the primary reason for that is because I don't know what each situation is going to hold. And so I'm going to have everything from a kind of a rucksack, the old Molly 2 pack. I'm going to be bringing some shoulder pouches. This is kind of a haversack slash shoulder pouch, and I keep my survival fishing kit and some other loose accoutrements in it. Also going to have my haversack, and believe it or not, this is just an old military gas mask bag, and I've used it as a haversack for the last few years, and I love it. And it carries a lot of my loose ends, such as my fire kit, which is also combustion part of the seas, and it's pretty much got my ferro rods in it, and flint and steel and magnifying glasses in it. And it keeps stuff like my gloves, extra bandanas, and some cordage. So that's my haversack that I usually carry. I'm going to have a dry leader bag to keep some of my clothing in. Also got another mini bag, little pouch here, that I'm going to keep all my journaling device, paper and notepads and all that stuff's in here. And then I got a just an old Camelback. I don't even remember how many liters it is. It was passed down to me from my wife's uncle, who's God bless his soul, passed away, military guy. Got that from him, so gonna wear it proudly. So the next item I want us to look at is covering. Now there's all kinds of options that you can use for covering. I've decided to stay on the lower end of the budget in this area, and so I'm just going with your standard. This is a heavy duty tarp, the gray and brown. I think it's the 10 by 12. I'm also going to be taking a bigger one. Covering as well, I'm going with a ripstop poncho. This is military grade ripstop poncho, and so hopefully that will help with rain. That's probably the one area that I feel the most inadequate in my gear with this course coming up is rain gear. I know that's going to be the area that I'm going to struggle the most, and it's probably going to be one of the most important areas. So hopefully before I head out in less than 5 days now is to have better quality rain gear. Also got a Shmog, and I consider this covering because, man, it's just got so many purposes, so many uses, and it'll help with mosquitoes and bugs, and also wicking away of sweat, and it'll help cool you down if you get it wet. And the other type of covering that I would like to get before I go, but I don't know that I'll need it, and I don't know that I'll be able to afford it, would be a bug net. And so I get down there, and heaven forbid it's horrible, I will find me a bug net. Alright, well, the last thing to cover that I don't even have out, it's in one of my tubs, is sleeping gear. And I am going to bring the military sleep system and some wool blankets is going to be my go-to sleep system. And other than that, it's just going to be stuff like, you know, rocket stoves, pocket stoves, propane stoves for cooking. And once again, you don't have to have those things, but in a quick situation, and I don't want to have to be trying to cook a meal after I've been learning all day, or maybe I got some research to do or some frog hunting I want to do, I can have that to make a quick meal. And then stuff like ice chest and food. And primarily what I'm bringing for food is quick meals. Granola bars, some canned food. I know it's horrible for you, but it's what I'm going to take because it's going to be easy to cook, easy to eat, and it's not going to hinder me from learning. Well, hopefully that gives you an idea of what equipment I'm going to be taking to Sigma 3. Some of you guys probably don't even care, but for those of you interested in taking the instructor program or any type of long-term survival class, maybe these will give you some ideas of some things to consider when packing for such a trip or an adventure. And you know, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm nervous a little bit, but it's super pumped and excited too. I really think the hardest part for me with taking this course is being away from my family. That's going to be the most difficult part. I think I can handle any of the rigorous training, any of the food deprivation, sleep deprivation. I think I'm going to be able to conquer all that, even the bugs and the weather. I'm pretty confident I can get through. It's just the isolation from the family that's going to be pretty hard. I haven't been away from my family for more than 5 days since I was in the military, and that was even a short-lived period of my life. But it's going to be exciting. It's gonna be fun. We practiced using Skype in the house the other day. I was in the bedroom and they were in the front room, and we just practiced what it would be like. And I was up in the mountains, because there will be some opportunities for me to get away and Skype with my family. So I am fortunate to be able to have that, but at the same time, I don't want to take advantage of that, because this is more than just an wilderness instructor program for me. It is about rediscovering myself and kind of having that walkabout to find new purpose and new passions in life. And so, kind of kicking back these last few days, I got a million things to do. My to-do list is 100 miles long, but I'm finding time in between to just chill and kick back and relax on the couch, because it's going to be gone for the next 6-7 weeks, from now till June. And you're going to learn real quick, and I'll learn real quick, how much we take for granted and how luxurious life really is for us in America. And so I do, like I said, I'm grateful for my family and my supporters, my subscribers, everybody out there who encourages me. I even got told the other day by a buddy of mine, and he's like, my wife says you sound like Jack Black and Vince Vaughn. And, I just laughed it off, because, man, it's great that people are out there watching my videos. So I want to thank my buddy Chris. And thank again Mark Cutright for hooking me up with some knives. I can't wait to test them out. If you guys haven't checked him out yet, it's cutrightKnives.com. I think he's working on his website some, but you can still find him on Facebook. And guys, if you're looking for some adequate training, not just adequate, you're looking for excellent training in the United States, be sure to check out Sigma 3 Survival School, because I promise you, it's going to be top-notch training with some of the best instructors around, with Josh Hamlin and Robert Allen. So, guys, keep it practical, primitive, and prepared.